Here's a neat little item I picked up at a garage sale yesterday for $1 bill. This is a Robbins Gibbs & Girl Stereo 4 tape splicer for professional clean splices in seconds for stereo and mono tapes. This was made by the Robbins Industry Corporation, Flushing, New York. I guess that'd be Flushing 56, New York is what that would mean. And when bought, the tag says custom electronics, 1 count, manufacturer's price of $12.75 and discount price of $9.56. And this was probably from around the mid-70s, I'd say, early mid-70s. I could have used this a couple days ago when I was splicing 8-tracks for my brother. But you know how it goes. What you have is a roll of whatever tape you're going to use to splice, which in this case is clear tape for clear splices. You could have put the magnetic sensing tape on there for 8 tracks or whatever else was available at the time. I'm not familiar with these units. If you pull out the stop right here, that allows the head to automatically pop up. And you could have done straight on splices with this particular unit, which it has a razor blade right here for straight on splices, or you could have done 45-degree splices, which was available right here. And to make the 45s or the straights, you would just take these 2 screws out and turn that over. Then you had 2 spring-loaded arms here and here that held your tape down, and then your splicing tape would come in from the bottom. So from my understanding, you either butt these together or overlap it, cut it, and then bring your splicing tape together and then cut it again. I believe that's how it works. And you could cut it or you could trim it. I'm not sure how you adjust that. I think if you flip this around, it'll say trim and the other side will say cut. You see it says cut. But some of the other neat things included with this was another roll of the splicing tape, which here is the package from that. Robbins splicing tape, catalog ST375, new formula. This is 3/8 by 100 inches, specifically made for splicing, recording tape, carefully controlled for tackiness, thickness, strength, and cold flow. Made in that's the most important thing. Made in USA. And at the time, this again was bought at Custom Electronics. Manufacturer's price of 45 cents with a discount price of 34 cents. And in the bottom of the box, we have the operating instructions of how to bring the tape in, how to cut or trim, how to use the splicing tape, and here's your completed splice, but you can again adjust those to make it cut correctly. And here's a catalog of stuff. This is their condensed catalog 19C of all the stuff they had, like bulk erasers and VU meters. Here's our tape splicer number 1, which he had listed for $12.75. Deluxe Stereo 4 tape splicer. Features see-through windows indicating cut and trim positions for easy operation. Kinda neat. Here we had a bulk eraser for magnetic tape for your reel-to-reels. Back here we have patch cord accessories. A few more of them down here. Here's a universal 45 spindle that fit most changers, including VM, Glazier steers, Columbia, GE, Motorola, Philco radio, RCA. RCA radio, Sylvania, Westinghouse, Zenith, and many others. $4.50. And inside here, we got a few other items. Record cleaning items. That's a RoboStat cleaning kit. Here we had an item you could control your record player and a separate stereo amp, so when the last record played, this thing would shut it off. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. This was a number 3. It was a strobe and light kit for your turntable. We had dust kits for your turntable tone arms to rub the needle across to get the dust off of them. Dust sleeves, dust covers. Here's our little 45 adapters. Really neat. Here we had a little brush that would fit in your head shell hole if you had one in the back of a higher end turntable. Robbins Exact replacement and stereo conversion tape heads. You could buy a new tape head for your reel-to-reel deck. Here's replacement phono idler wheels. Ask for Robbins genuine replacement, exact replacement parts for every model and make. And here's a lot of volume controls, switches. This would have been a neat company. I'll have to look them up. I wonder if any of their stuff is still around. So that was a pretty nice find. Again, this is a Robbins Gibson Girls Stereo 4 tape splicer. And was bought yesterday at a garage sale for $1 bill. I was given the go-ahead this morning to replace the bottom panels in this cabinet. These two here and here. They're just a real light veneer. And what has happened over the years, it's become broken, and all it's holding it together now is packing tape. It'd probably last a little while longer, but I had some 1/8" maple veneer out in the garage, 1/8" plywood I should say. And I'll pop some of that in here and make it right. That piece is a little bit better, but it's delaminated at the bottom. And the reason I have to do that is because I'm in the land of Kitty out here, and Miss Shadow, aka Miss Fuzzy Britches, will not leave that cabinet alone. She's very curious, like a kitty should be, and likes to paw through there. This morning it looked like she gave it a karate jab, and next thing you know, that panel was pushed through. So, gotta do some work on that. So, let's go out to the shop and get the bandsaw out and take some measurements and cut us some panels. Here's what we'll be using to replace those panels on that cabinet I was showing y'all. This is like 1/8" thick maple veneered onto a maple core. It's a very nice plywood. These were like 4x4 sheets I bought when I did my cabinet work in the kitchen remodel about 2.5 years ago. I had this sheet and a whole nother sheet left over, and what I did was make end panels for my maple cabinets in there out of these, and I had quite a bit left over, and it's been sitting around, as you can see, since then, cobwebbish. This is pretty nice stuff. It's got a nice appearance, grade finish on one side, and kind of a more flatter finish on the other side, which we're not going to get too excited about it for this cabinet because we're going to paint these white anyway before we install them. But the sheet measured 12 this way and 13 1/4 this way, and I needed 2 of them, and luckily I could get 2 without that knot being in the way. I posted 5 videos on YouTube last week of some songs I was looking for, and the one I haven't found yet, Turtles, Can't You Hear the Cows, I'm looking for that. Being all these songs come off of tapes Grandpa had that he recorded off of records, which in turn later on he had me convert over to CDs. So all of these songs are in his collection somewhere here, and 2 boxes back there. But they're all here. And some 45s upstairs. I found the Chet Atkins. The Chet Atkins 2 songs were You're Just in Love and Yankee Doodle Dixie, which those were both on one side of a 45. This Turtles, Can't You Hear the Cows, I haven't found that one yet. The one we were wondering that had Speaking at the beginning was thought to have been maybe Ray Anthony or Harry James. Well, it turns out it's Ray Conniff, and it's called the Muskrat Ramble, and that was off Ray Conniff's Concert and Stereo album. And the other one I had up there that had a harpist playing is known as T for Two from the play No No Nanette, and the harpist is Elaine Fenimore, and again this is from Ray Conniff's Concert and Stereo. So I got to digging around. I knew there was a bunch of Ray Conniff albums in Grandpa's collection. As a matter of fact, there's duplicates and triplicates of a few of them. So I'm not going to be so hard up about parting with some of them, because some of these are going to start disappearing here in the next few months. But here's the album we were looking for. Absolutely awesome. Muskrat Ramble. And I don't think the T for Two is listed. Yep, right there. T for Two. This was a live album he did at the Sahara Tahoe Casino. Probably mid-70s, I'm guessing. Still in its shrink wrap. As you can see, it's a double album. Both the records are there. And it's got some interior liner pictures I'll have to pull out. Glad to find that. Now for those of you that are interested in what the RCA Mark 8 stereo looked like inside, here we are. Tobacco infused and all. So whoever owned this before us was a cigarette smoker. A lot of yellow film and haze in here. Probably still running on its original belt and it's doing a good job at it. Cleaned the tape heads, very little grime on the tape heads. The capstan was pretty filthy. I'm not finding any date codes. The only thing I found was a 47128. So I don't know if it's calendar day of 128, you know, 4th month, 7th year. Have no clue. It's still running on all original parts on the bottom. Several Mitsubishi branded parts in this machine, including the motor itself and this one capacitor right here. But all in all, it's clean and it's ready to go. Well, thanks to the use of my Delta bandsaw, I was able to rip this piece down to a little bit more manageable size. But unfortunately, the throat's only about 9 inches on that saw, and I need 12 to get me all the way to my halfway point here and back to here. Unfortunately, that saw just won't do any more for me. That was a nice investment for $99, and I use it quite a few times throughout the year. And it's got its own little light that's built in and its own motor. They're both on separate cords. I think this one's considered a 9-inch. Very nice saw. I highly recommend it. I also have a table saw by Delta. Bought it about the same time as this one, probably back about 04, 05, somewhere in there. You get a lot of use out of both of them. I love them. They were built real well. They do a good job. But the only thing I don't like on the table saw is the fence is okay. It's the safety guard over the blade. It's all the time getting caught. It's got anti-kickback fingers on them, and it's so stiff that you can hardly get your stock to go through there sometimes. That's kind of a pain in the butt. But other than that, I give them both a 5 out of 5 rating. So now we gotta decide how we're going to chop this panel down. I think what I'm going to do is go find a real sharp razor knife, and we're going to score that on top of this piece of plywood until we get our pieces. That way we don't have to worry about splintering these panels. We don't have to worry about any tear out. If I damage it, it's my fault. I can't blame it on the saw now, can I? And there we have it. About 2 minutes worth of work with our razor knife, and we got 2 individual panels that measure 12 by 13 1/4. Let's dust these puppies off and get them outside, and well, coat them in some white paint before we put them in. You know, the 8-track player is still chugging along nicely, playing some Simon and Garfunkel, and it's got its head cleaned. Head clean, I should say. It's only got one. The contacts that changed the track, has been cleaned, the motor's been oiled, the spindle's been oiled, the capstan underneath, the arm that changes the track has been cleaned and oiled. These contacts up here were cleaned with alcohol and oiled because they spring down here on the bottom. And the case received its first coat of Scotch Liquid Gold. It's the only thing I'll use on old cases. It's a good product. This is in a liquid form you apply to a rag. But you can also spray this right on a rag, which is this version right here. It's got a sprayer top on it. Basically the same thing. Let this soak in and look for any dull spots and wipe it again if it needs it. I don't use Pledge on nothing because Pledge has silicone in it. Pledge gets down in the grains, and if you strip it, you'll never get it out of there. Banderson TV, Bob Anderson passed that on to me about using liquid, using Pledge and stuff on these pieces of wood, mainly the old radio cabinets and TV cabinets. But it cleaned up pretty good. You see, it's got a nice shine to it now. We'll let this soak in. There's one spot right there, it's dull, you can see what it looks like. Incidentally, when I go to attach end panels to the cabinet doors, I'm going to use these little brass screws I have. They shouldn't be long enough to poke through the door with any problem. They're Phillips head. I don't have anything flat, but these are kind of a countersunk, so maybe they won't stick out so bad. But you know how it always goes. You think you're going to have to, or you think you could use these for one thing, and then you get in there and do your project, and they're a quarter inch too long. That's the way it always goes around here anyway. So we'll just have to see how that goes later this afternoon. Look at all them apples. We haven't got any off of this red tree yet to cut up and freeze for the winter for applesauce and pies and all that good stuff for next year. But our other tree back behind here is a Granny Smith. And we probably got about 25-gallon bags of apples off of that tree. This one we're still a little tart about a week ago. So we're waiting. Won't be long. We'll get them. These are always a good apple, and they always come on late in the season. But she is just loaded to the gill. All over the place. About 3 years ago we had an ice storm that took the top corner out of this, the northwest corner out of that tree, nice big maple, and at the same time it took a big branch off of our apple right here, and that's always been a weak point. And I was really concerned about that this year because this thing has got a lot of weight on that branch right there. It goes all the way down on the ground. Do you know apple trees only live about 5 years? 7 at the most, and then they're pretty much to the end of their usefulness. They'll quit bearing fruit and whatnot. Didn't know that. These are probably within a year, plus or minus of the 5. But we'll take what they give us while they still give it to us. Okay, I've got a little bit of painting done on this one. My can ran out of propellant. There's still paint in there, but it's out of propellant. I don't know what it is about spray paint cans these days. I mean, this is Krylon. This is good spray paint. It used to be anyway. But even the WD-40 cans and stuff run out of propellant long before you're ever done with them. I don't know why that is. So we'll go ahead and put some of this on here. Kind of windy today. I'm afraid this is going to dry real quick, so I want to put a little heavier coat on what you'd normally put on. We'll come back and hit them a few times. I'll do this out here by my fire pit on these cinder blocks, so I don't have to worry about anything getting damaged. See how windy it is. Crazy. So for those of you that stuck with me on this, we're going to put these on, and I'll have something in my next video of the finished product. And I want to thank a lot of you out there because the well wishes and whatnot for Grandpa's funeral. He had a wonderful funeral, wonderful viewing, and they did a 21-gun military honor salute because he was in the Korean conflict back in the 50s. So he got the 21. They had used 7 gunners and they shot 3 times, more or less a 21 gun salute. And when they were done, they took all the shell casings from the 21 gun salute and give each one to either a child of Grandpa or the grandchildren. So that was kind of neat. My uncle gave me one of those this past Friday when I come into work. I wasn't really sure what it was. He says, I'm not sure if they got all 21 of these. They said they got as many as they could, and they wanted us kids to have them, so that's kind of cool. So I'll go over these a couple of times. It might look like I'm putting it on heavy, but I'm not really putting it on all that heavy. It's just really windy today. That's not overspray, that's just like the propellant stuff you see flying out. We'll let these cook for a little while, and you'll next see them installed in the next video. Well, the 8-track player is all cleaned up and ready to go to its new home in Virginia. And that case polished up nicely with some Scotch liquid gold. And the front was taken care of with some Windex. And you can see that chrome's got some nice shine to it now. Here's its new owner. This is my brother, Mirage 45331 from Virginia. Y'all get on over to his channel and check it out. He's got a couple videos up. He's the new proud owner of this RCA Mark 8 stereo 8-track player that we purchased about a week ago. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys, and there'll be more to come later. Let's jam some music first, though. This is Herb Alpert's Rise album, and this is the song called 1980.